Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and I've got a couple stories to share with you, Ripple and XRP related, in this latest hot jam from Moon Lambo. I'll be starting with this one from crypto media outlet U Today. Ripple, Chris Larsen, and Coinbase transfer a whopping 520 million XRP. Yes, indeed, a massive quantity of XRP on the go. Also, the other day, some of you may have caught this. In one of my videos, I covered this. There's this piece from Forecast News titled, SEC Commissioner Hester Peirce says enforcement is never a good way to provide clarity. And so I'm not going to be running through this piece again, but we've got a response from attorney John Deaton. He's a lawyer that filed a writ of mandamus which seeks to compel the SEC to amend their charges against Ripple to no longer declare that XRP is a security. And if it doesn't go the way that T's wanted to, there's a chance that could be bringing a class action lawsuit against the SEC in about 6 months. So anyway, he's got that thread. And then there was also a second one, which I discovered right before I went to hit record on this video. So the second thread, it's on the same topic in terms of like litigation, Ripple, SEC, all that stuff, but I haven't read it yet, so we'll get to experience that. You and I get to experience that for the first time together. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap the like button, I'd definitely appreciate the support. And also go ahead and subscribe to the Moon Lambo channel. Take my free content, damn it. Now, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I just think it's fun to talk about these topics and run this YouTube channel purely as a hobby. All right, so in this first piece, 520 million XRP moving around. Whales getting all splishy splashy. They're aquatic AF. According to data shared by Whale Alert cryptocurrency tracker, a mammoth-sized amount of XRP, over 500 million coins. It's on the go. This eye-popping sum came in several transactions conducted by Ripple, its co-founder and executive chairman and trading giant Coinbase. And so, it kind of made me wonder, with the charges against Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, and Chris Larsen, do you think Chris Larsen's moving some XRP to sell it with all of this happening in the background? Kind of skeptical of that. I mean, that'd be interesting if so. Maybe he's just moving it for some other reason. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure if it really is his actual personal wallet or something like that. But some was moved from Ripple's over-the-counter distribution wallet. So I don't know. I've been wondering. I don't have any. I haven't seen anything. I don't have any sort of special insight as far as what the suit is doing to affect the way that Ripple's buying and selling XRP. Because really, understand, Ripple has been doing both to manage liquidity. And I don't know if the charge is already out there. So I don't know if there's any reason that Ripple's legal team would be like, hey, we have to stop this. And I would certainly hope not, because it's part of their business model. So it'd just be a shame if something like that had to be adjusted in the short term. I don't even know what type of damages there'd be in terms of the actual business model along the way. So we'll just have to sit tight and see that. But speaking of damages, thanks SEC for nothing. Although we may get regulatory clarity out of this, to positive regulatory clarity, that would be good. I just, with the charges of the SEC against Ripple, I always just fear that there was always an opportunity that you could set a really bad precedent if you get a bad verdict that just doesn't make sense. And sometimes in life that does happen, but even so, I'm still optimistic for the future. I don't suspect that'll be the case. And in fact, most of these, most of the time there's charges from the SEC against a company, rather than go to court, the strong majority of the time, there's actually just a settlement. And so I know that Ripple has not been able to reach a settlement to this point, but, with the change in administration, new people coming in, who knows what that's going to look like behind the scenes. I don't have any special insight, and nobody that I've seen talk does. And so I think the people in the know, like, to whatever degree they know anything, and there's still a lot of question marks as far as who's going to be in what roles in the SEC moving forward, I'm not aware of any of that information being public, but if I find anything like that, I will be happy to share it with you. But here you go. SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce says enforcement is never a good way to provide clarity. But that's exactly what the SEC is doing. Rather than have provided clarity for how to conduct oneself like years and years and years ago, the SEC just watched Ripple transparently conduct business, and Ripple would meet with them very regularly, talk to them very regularly, let them know what they were doing. And then, rather than along the way having provided clarity, they decided to litigate, bring these charges forth, and then that's how you get clarity. See, it's like getting regulatory clarity through enforcement like this is just gross to me. I hate that. And so Hester Pierce effectively said the same thing. Now, John Deaton, this is the attorney that is bringing the heat. I want to share with you what he had to say in response to this news about SEC Commissioner Hester Pierce. And John wrote, this thread discusses one of the theories that I allege in our legal action against the SEC. It's called regulation by enforcement. Hester Pierce and the new SEC chairman Elad Roisman have both publicly stated that it should not be practiced. Former SEC Chairman Clayton stated many times when asked about XRP that the SEC can't comment on any specific product or company. He would only say, if it's a security, we will regulate it. He was asked repeatedly by CNBC reporters and at fintech conferences specifically about XRP. He was asked whether XRP would get the same status as Bitcoin and Ethereum. He repeatedly stated that the SEC would not comment on specific products. But this runs afoul of the SEC mission statement, which states the SEC will share information about companies to help investors make informed decisions. XRP has been traded on over 200 exchanges worldwide for the past 7 years, with a daily volume between $10 to $26 billion. Clayton knew there may be investor confusion, yet remained quiet until the day before he leaves office, 7 years later, declaring XRP an unregistered security. If the SEC refuses to make comments on companies and/or specific products, as Clayton suggests, then that leaves the industry and investors to wildly speculate as to what the SEC may or may not do. Clayton himself seemed confused about securities. He has publicly stated that if a person purchases a token and someone goes out and does a venture and that effort increases the value of the token, it is a security. This sole characterization of what constitutes a security is absolutely wrong. Clayton, well, you know what, by the way, let me pause right there. This goes back to the idea, and John has brought this up a number of times, and including the rationale when he filed this whole thing, that they're overcharging. Like, I don't even believe, frankly, after looking into this further and further, I don't believe that the SEC believes what it is claiming, that XRP is a, like, it's just, it flies in the face of logic and reason. And so I keeps going back to it, and the more lawyers I listen to, it seems share their opinion on this case. I haven't found a single lawyer that thinks that this thing's going to trial. Everybody is suspecting that this is just ultimately going to be settled. So, but again, I think Ripple's going to settle this if part of one of the requirements from the SEC is that XRP is a security. Well, no, clearly Ripple disputes that. That's not going to change. Anyway, John continues now. Clayton has also stated that if a person gets a return in the secondary markets from the token, it is a security. That would make everything a security, including Bitcoin. Maybe Clayton and the SEC are confused as to what a security is in the context of blockchain technology and digital assets. Maybe the SEC doesn't know or understand how digital currencies fit in the regulatory scheme. Maybe Clayton and the SEC have used the XRP action as a way to engage in regulation by enforcement by going after the third largest cryptocurrency. It's not likely the SEC can file suit against Satoshi Nakamoto related to Bitcoin. Is the attack on XRP a way to open the door on all of crypto? The good news is that acting SEC Chairman Elad Roisman has publicly been critical of this regulation by enforcement practice. He has stated that he always analyzes on a case-by-case basis with investor welfare as his North Star. He stated, when considering market participants acting in good faith to comply with the rules, enforcement should be the last resort, not the first resort. All right, and then attorney Jesse Hines responded to John here and wrote, as wonderful as this sounds, Commissioner Roisman has voted in favor of every action against a cryptocurrency company, and in my opinion, likely voted in favor of the lawsuit against Ripple. I would not put any faith in him. If I were to guess, only Chairman Pierce voted against it. And John responded to that and wrote, I agree that his words sound nice, but his actions are what matters. I'm only reporting what he has said in speeches of the past. I know nothing about him. The way he handles this Ripple action versus XRP in general will inform us all how crypto-friendly he is. And by the way, keep in mind that he's just acting commissioner right now, so it's highly likely that Biden's going to want somebody else in place, but we don't know for sure. So this guy could just be a placeholder for now. Now into this next thread, which I have not read yet, admittedly, but we get to experience this together now. What a good time. So this is again from attorney John Deaton. He wrote, Theory 1, political revenge. It is known both in the crypto community and the government that Clayton is perceived to be anti-crypto. President Trump stated that he does not favor Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin has publicly stated similar beliefs. A former NSA, John Bolton, stated that he was present when he heard Trump instruct Mnuchin to go after Bitcoin. More is significant is that Ripple and its executives, especially CEO Brad Garlinghouse, co-founder Chris Larson, and General Counsel Stuart Alderodi, have been very critical of the Trump administration and Clayton. In 2018, Garlinghouse and CTO David Schwartz met with Clayton and Trump's senior officials. Afterwards, Alderodi stated that the U.S. is close to losing the global edge in crypto and blockchain technology to China. Larson argued that China can reverse a Bitcoin transaction due to its control over Chinese Bitcoin miners. He argued that the U.S. isn't winning the technological Cold War against China. He argued that China mining, related to Bitcoin and ETH, is over 80% of total mining. Larson said the U.S. government's inaction is losing the war and is suppressing American innovation. Garlinghouse went on CNBC, CNN, and Fox and threatened to relocate Ripple outside of the U.S. due to the administration's continued lack of regulatory clarity. He stated on Fox that the Trump administration was favoring China and suppressing American innovation by providing regulatory clarity to ETH and Bitcoin, which are controlled and subsidized by the Chinese Communist Party, or CCP for short. Ripple put significant pressure on Clayton. Powerful politicians questioned Clayton's performance and his allegiance. Senator Mike Crapo wrote a letter to both the OCC and SEC seeking clarity regarding crypto payments. Crapo stated that the different government agencies need to clear rules that do not stifle American innovation. Weeks prior to the SEC enforcement action against Ripple, a number of U.S. congressmen signed a letter to the SEC asking for regulatory clarity. Ripple's efforts continued to place political pressure on Clayton. The Washington Examiner publicized an investigative piece on the issue of the Trump administration and Clayton losing the blockchain technology war to China because the SEC would not provide clarity. An article was published stating that cryptocurrency is at the forefront of not just finance, but even national security. The article stated that the U.S. intelligence community is raising concerns about the CCP's influence over digital currencies at the SEC. The Director of National Intelligence, John Ratcliffe, wrote a letter directed at Clayton in early November 2020 stating that crypto and central bank digital currencies are all being drawn into a multi-front global competition against Beijing for leadership of the world's economy. He informed Clayton that industry leaders, Ripple, are worried that China is leaving the U.S. behind in the digital currency race. Ratcliffe pointed to concerns the U.S. has regarding China's sway over digital currencies, as more than half of the world's mining is located in China. He warned Clayton that the Chinese government has created its own state-controlled digital currency that would make it tough for the US-based companies like Ripple and innovators to compete. He offered to have intelligence officers brief Clayton on the issue. Clayton did not appreciate the pressure being placed on him and the SEC, and that pressure came from the direct efforts of Ripple and its two executives. Irritated by the Ratcliffe letter, Clayton refused to personally respond to it, including an SEC spokesperson responded to it and claimed Clayton is committed to restoring innovation in the digital assets and digital payment space consistent with U.S. investor protection and anti-money laundering laws. Why would they respond this way? Anti-money laundering? Really? This was an unusually generic response to claims that the SEC was helping China win the blockchain crypto revolution. The Washington Examiner found this letter by Trump's top spy chief to signal a push to convince Clayton and the SEC to make it easier for U.S.-owned crypto companies like Ripple to compete against those based in and controlled by China. Alderodi was interviewed and discussed China's influence over digital currencies. He said, "The data doesn't lie. The vast majority of Bitcoin's network and infrastructure, chips, mining pools, and software are all located in China or created by Chinese companies. This is not decentralization. The CCP wields absolute control in China." Ripple's GC's remarks to the Examiner were extremely critical of the Trump administration and the SEC, including Clayton. Alderodi wrote in August 2020 that the Chinese government subsidizes the vast amounts of energy needed to fuel Bitcoin and ETH miners. Yeah, it's not something, if that's true, it's like, here, you can mine and you don't even have to be profitable. Anyway, he stated that 65% of Bitcoin mining is concentrated in China. Ripple's GC publicly questioned whether the U.S. is really willing to allow China to win this new technological and economic Cold War and allow China to dictate important parts of a new global economic system. The Examiner's article concluded by taking a direct shot at Clayton. A senior intelligence officer told the Washington Examiner that competing with China is a serious enough challenge without U.S. regulators getting in the way. Senator Tom Cotton also sent Clayton a letter in July 2020 after he sent his first letter to Clayton in December 2018. In both letters, Cotton addresses digital currencies to ensure U.S. companies, or Ripple, have a chance to compete. Cotton's second letter included Director Ratcliffe and White House NSA O'Brien. It criticized how, so far, the SEC has concluded that only Chinese-controlled Bitcoin and ETH can be considered non-securities. Cotton was making the same argument that Ripple and its two executives have been making for years, except now, Ripple's argument that the SEC providing regulatory clarity for only Bitcoin and ETH, but not XRP, was favoring China over the U.S., was being made by Congress, the NSA, the media, and U.S. senators, and they all were directing their criticisms to one agency and its chairman. That's interesting. Possibly the worst thing that Ripple's executives could do after publicly alleging the Trump administration and Clayton were favoring Chinese technology over American innovation was to publicly congratulate Biden. The two Ripple executives stated that they believed Biden's tenure would be better for digital currencies. Garlinghouse stated that the Biden administration had to be better because he couldn't imagine the regulatory environment any worse. It appears that Clayton proved Garlinghouse wrong and provided him with a worse environment. Is my revenge theory rank speculation? Of course it is, but until the truth is discovered, I will explore all feasible theories. You think this theory is wrong? Why wasn't Jed McCaleb sued? He has sold billions of XRP and he is a co-founder of Ripple, of course, like Larson. How are his sales of XRP not securities? And that's a point that I had brought up. I've asked that a couple of times on my channel. I was like, so wait a minute. If this was so wrong, why just go after Brad Garlinghouse? Why just go after Chris Larson? I mean, hell, XRP is the brainchild of Jed McCaleb, right? Or did I say that backwards? He's the brain. Yeah, I said that backwards. Jed McCaleb is the brainchild of XRP. There you go. And so to not go after him, like, what's the motivating factor then? And as far as this being speculation, that's fine. Well, because here, look, reasonable speculation is always fine in my book. And it's just the charges, many of them, especially XRP being a security today in 2021, like that is so absurd. It's just like, what else could it be? It has to be something, right? It's just the idea of that is so outrageous that all we can do is sit here and think, well, then what the hell else could it be? You know, between all of that and then just intentionally overcharging, maybe it's starting to make sense. I don't know. He admits it's speculation. I'm happy to acknowledge that, but I'm okay with throwing ideas out there. I really am. So, oh man, what a roller coaster ride. That was really good to get John's perspective, though. That is really fascinating here. And John's among the many out there, and again, he's a lawyer. He thinks it's more likely than not that there's going to be a settlement, and I certainly hope so. And I think that would just be fantastic for Ripple and XRP, and thus XRP holders, and maybe undo some of the damage that the SEC has inflicted on holders of XRP. But I'll go ahead and wrap up there. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.